Derby Wars, racing's biggest contest site, is now even bigger with more than 200 games every day. Check out Survivor, Derby Wars' hottest new game. It's fun, easy to play, and for just $4 you could win $1,000. Just pick a horse to finish first, second, or third and advance to the next race. With daily payouts and games starting every hour, you'll see why fans are racing to play Survivor.
Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsey, and as always, I have the great pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
Great, Brian. It's October. We're less than a month from the Breeders' Cup.
25 days by my count, Matt. 25 days until Breeders' Cup Friday, till it all begins at beautiful Santa Anita Park. And Matt, I think we should start talking Breeders' Cup in earnest now. We're going to do so today, folks, with 3 previews. Previews of races that have really come together well in the last few weeks with all these prep races being run. May I say prep races? These are all big, most of them grade 1 races in their own right. But we're going to look at the Distaff, the Juvenile, and the Sprint. Sound good to you, Matt?
Let's do it, Brian.
All right. So in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, which is, I think, by both of our accounts, Matt, and probably most reasonable people, the best of all the Breeders' Cup races, at least it's looking that way 25 days out.
It is an absolutely tremendous field. And just to put it into perspective, when the fans see our rankings up there, you and I both have in the number 5 slot a horse that has won 3 straight graded stakes races, 2 of them being grade 1s, and she's at the number 5 slot. That's how deep the field is for the Distaff.
Can't agree with you more, Matt. I had trouble. I had a lot of trouble putting a horse like Carolina all the way down at number 7, but that's exactly where I think she deserves to be right now. It's just because this race is coming up so big. The older mare division is deep and strong, but none of them will be favored. It's going to be Songbird who's the favorite. Matt, in the cotillion, this was thought to be her toughest test yet. Grade 1 fillies, Karina Mia, Catherine Sophia ganging up on her. She's just, she's too good for the 3-year-old fillies. I want to see her against the older now. Now is the time.
Yeah, you know, Brian, we keep saying, oh, this is going to be her toughest test. This is going to be her toughest test. Quite frankly, Brian, she hasn't had a toughest test yet. And the question remains for the Distaff, will she have a tough test in the Distaff? We keep saying that she will, but I don't know. You and I think she's going to, because you and I both have Stellar Wind at the top of our list. I don't think that's a slight on Songbird. It's simply the fact that she hasn't run against older horses yet, and Stellar Wind is one heck of an older horse.
Well, Matt, there's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. There can be no doubt that this is going to be her toughest test yet. We're talking about Stellar Wind, Beholder, Cavorting, Forever Unbridled. Who am I forgetting? I'm a Chatterbox, Carolina. The list goes on. So this will be her toughest test yet. And you're right. Both of us have the feeling that she might be in for a real battle. And in fact, yeah, we have her number 2. The reason we have her number 2, of course, is how good Stellar Wind is. Stellar Wind, like we've talked about, Matt, she's never run a bad race. She's taken over the lead. I'm calling this older mare dirt division just deep, contentious, talented, whatever you want to call it. She's taken over the lead the hard way, Matt. She's gone after Beholder, the mare that really nobody thought was going to get beat by any older females this year. And Stellar Wind has taken the bull by the horns. 3 straight races now. She was second the first time. She's beaten her twice. As far as I'm concerned, that is getting it done the hard way. And she'll have a hard test with the 3-year-old coming in next month.
Yep, beating Beholder as she has been super impressive. But you know what, Brian? On the other hand, I won't be surprised if Songbird wins the Distaff in the same way that we've seen her winning the other races. But it's going to be a great race to watch.
You won't be surprised if Songbird wins. I won't, of course, be surprised if Songbird wins. She's 11 for 11, just dominating her group, her age group, her 3-year-old filly division. But I also won't be surprised if Beholder, Matt, Beholder, the 3-time champion, she's already won 2 Breeders' Cup races at Santa Anita in grand style. I won't be surprised if Beholder wins. We both have her third on their list because I don't know where else to put her with Stellar Wind and with Songbird. But Beholder, I don't think we can take her lightly either, Matt.
I agree, Brian. But you know what really surprised me? At last week, some point, Richard Mandela, who is Beholder's trainer all these years, was on one of the internet radio shows. And I was really surprised to hear him say that he wasn't sure if Beholder has maybe lost a little bit of her competitive edge. Really surprised me to hear Mandela say that.
He's laying in the weeds, Matt. He's waiting for the big one. He's also hoping to get off the rail, just as Gary Stevens talked about after the race. Don't take Beholder lightly, Matt. Don't take Beholder lightly. She's that good. This is going to be a heck of a race. I could see all 3 of them coming down to the wire together. And then, of course, we've got, did you see I'm a Chatterbox yesterday at Keeneland, Matt? I thought that was her best race ever.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you, Brian. And the way she ran the race, she could possibly have an effect on the way the race plays out.
Yeah, she has speed to be out there if it's not too fast, and she also has that good stalking style to put herself in a good position, a la Gun Runner at the top of the lane. But the spinster Larry Jones before the race looked awfully confident, and there was good reason. Now she beat Paid Up Subscriber, who she's beaten 3 straight times, but maybe she is better than ever. He's gotten her pointed in the right direction for the fall. She becomes a threat. Cavorting, we both have at number 5 on our list, Matt, which is hard to believe after 3 straight graded stakes wins in New York. But I worry a little bit about her 2-turn ability against this type of horse anyway. California, Cavorting, I think I like a few others better.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. And I was a little surprised that I had Forever Unbridled a little bit higher up the list than you did, Brian, because I know you've been a huge fan of that horse. And I don't know if I see Forever Unbridled winning the race, but, you know, if there's some battling going on with the strong move, late kick that she has, I could see her picking up some pieces and maybe picking up second or third in there.
Yeah, she could be second or third, although with the top 3, maybe 4th would be very good. She could also be 7th. I do like her a lot, Matt. I like her as a horse. I was happy to see the Beldame come up not too tough. And then, of course, she just won for fun. That was easy as you can be for Forever Unbridled, kind of showing her class against basically grade 2 fillies. The thing I worry about for her is Santa Anita, the type of track that we usually get for the Breeders' Cup, more speed favoring. Maybe out of these top, what are we talking, 6 or 7, she's got the least speed of them all. And I think that could be tough for her. Saratoga, she stayed closer to the pace in the personal ensign. Cavorting actually passed her late, which I think is against her best style. But I have a lot of respect for Forever Unbridled. And I'll throw Carolina in again. It shows how classy this race is if you have a horse like Carolina, number 7.
Yep. I mean, the class in this field, it would be crazy to count up the number of grade 1 wins that this field has.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, Matt, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so Distaff, I think the style of the race, how it plays out early is gonna go a long way. Maybe I'm thinking Stellar Wind, Songbird, and Beholder are really, really close on ability and form right now. So if any one of the 3 gets the running style, the right running style, and that might be stalking in 3rd or 4th, Stellar Wind as a little bit behind Beholder and Songbird, and maybe another one early, that could give her the advantage. Victor Espinoza is hot with big races and has been aggressive with her lately. So just on running style alone, I might give the slightest edge to Stellar Wind.
Yep, and I agree with you, Brian, and that's why we both had her in the number 1 spot.
Fair enough. Hey, Matt, let's go to the Juvenile, because I think the Juvenile is a division that really opened up in the last few weeks. It was looking a little bit mediocre, for lack of a better word, but I think some big performances. I'm going back to Not This Time in the Iroquois, Gormley upsetting Klimp in the front runner, but then also some big things this weekend really kind of put the Juvenile back on the map as one of the bigger Breeders' Cup races in my mind. All of a sudden, it's coming up pretty good.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. I love the Juvenile, and I love that this year is shaping up to be a contentious, relatively wide open edition of the Juvenile compared to last year when, Nyquist was pretty much a sure thing in there.
No, I didn't pick him last year, Matt. Did he win? I think I was on Exaggerator that day, who finished fourth, if my memory fails me. A fast closing fourth that just no, that's not quite true. But anyway, yeah, and this year, unlike some other years, Matt, I'm going to throw this point out. Santa Anita, it seems like the West Coast horses have a huge advantage in races like the Juvenile especially. And I think that might not be true this year, because I am not sold on what I'm seeing out of horses like Gormley and the horse he upset, Klimt, out in California. While I think there might be more talent in the East Coast. First, Not This Time is my number one. He's your number two. I thought he was ultra impressive, and he's just looked the part ever since he's been at Churchill this fall. But Classic Empire, after a strange hopeful where he lost his rider very quickly, basically dumped his rider in the first 50 yards. The Cassies did not lose any faith in this 2-year-old son of Pioneer of the Nile, and he showed why in the Breeders' Futurity. Yeah,
if you throw out that freaky incident at Saratoga in the hopeful, Classic Empire is a horse who hasn't lost a race, and I love the improvement that we saw. We didn't see any of that kind of behavior down at Keeneland. I think Classic Empire is an extremely talented horse who is getting better and getting better, and that's why I have him in the number one slot. And like you, Brian, our top threes do not include a West Coast horse.
Yeah, that's interesting, Matt. We have the Kentucky 1-2 in reverse order. I'm with Not This Time. You're with Classic Empire. I like them both. You like them both. Gormley, I think we both put in number 4. I like the Florida horse. We haven't talked about Three Rules All. He's just been dominant down in Florida. Obviously, it's a big class jump for him, but the way he's been beating horses down there makes me think, the way he's been looking, makes me think he's a real deal type of horse. And maybe the Gulfstream to Santa Anita journey, not the journey so much, but the condition of the track, the way the track plays, would be more similar for him than some of the others coming from Keeneland or Churchill or even Belmont. So Three Rules I have up at number 3. You have Practical Joke at number 3, I believe, right?
Yes, I do. I kind of gave the nod to Practical Joke because, again, he just won the big race in the Champagne, and I liked his move coming from off the pace, and he ran down a tremendous speed horse in Syndergaard.
The Champagne was just a wonderful, wonderful race. The Champagne was the race of the weekend. Maybe not the single performance of the weekend, but it was the race. It was the best race. It was the most fun race to watch. And Matt, I came away impressed much more with the horse that was second than first. Practical Joke, I worry for a lot of reasons going to the Breeders' Cup. I don't have him as high as you. I worry about him being able to rally at 2 turns. Obviously, New York to California tends to be a disadvantage. I also wonder if he would have been beaten more than a nose, but a length or two if Syndergaard didn't have to go 44. Battling head to head in the Champagne. So Syndergaard, for me, the New York bred, they both came in undefeated, but I thought Syndergaard was the more impressive of the two. Just a wonderful race he ran to go that fast early under pressure pretty much the whole way. And then really he didn't let Practical Joke by. They just battled it out to the wire, and Practical Joke won the bob. So of those two, I like Syndergaard more. I'm not 100% sure he's going to go to the Breeders' Cup, but if he does, he'll be a horse I use, and hopefully he doesn't bounce off that huge effort in the Champagne.
Yeah, and like you said, the second quarter fraction was tremendously fast in that race. And I think at some point, Practical Joke got past Syndergaard, and then Syndergaard battled back and got the lead back, and then they head bobbed it down the way. But, I have my concerns about Syndergaard picking up a little bit extra distance and then having to go 2 turns. But that was a great performance that he turned in.
We agree on that, Matt. I tell you why I like Syndergaard a little bit more. I think Practical Joke wants to rally, and sometimes that's easier around 1 turn when you get the fast early pace. Syndergaard, I think, is the fastest or the quickest 2-year-old that I've seen this year. So I expect him, if he's in the race, to be on the lead at Santa Anita. 2 turns or not, I think on the lead at Santa Anita is not a bad place to be. There have been some juveniles, though, out there where they just ran too fast early, and that could burn up Syndergaard if that's the case. But on the other hand, I could see him setting the early pace in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and with his talent, I think he's a pretty big threat.
Yeah, and trainer Todd Pletcher has had some pretty good luck in the Juvenile in the past.
Yeah. Who are we forgetting, Matt? Looking at Lee has rallied up nicely to finish second to both of our top 2. I think that'll be Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Santa Anita, unless we see that crazy pace. And then we both kind of have 3 rules, and Gormley and Klimt. We haven't mentioned Klimt. I guess he would need to run an improved race off his second in the front runner. So those are our top 8 in the Juvenile. Kentucky, interesting for both of us, even though the Breeders' Cup's in Santa Anita.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that race.
Me too, Matt, as I am the Sprint. Now, the Sprint, I've had Lord Nelson number 1 on my list for seems like 4 or 5 months now, and I thought I saw nothing but good things in his Santa Anita Sprint Championship win on Saturday at Santa Anita.
Hey, Brian, the Breeders' Cup Sprint is always one of my favorite races, year in and year out. And you asked me to come up with 8 horses in the Sprint, Brian, and I came up with 8 horses. But let me tell you what, I have, in my mind, a huge gap between 1 and the rest of the field. I think Lord Nelson is a lock in the Sprint.
Wow. I'm not going to go that far. I really do like him best for a lot of reasons. Generally, the Breeders' Cup Sprint is a race that is taxing. And Lord Nelson, I just love the way he's finishing these races. Obviously, he loves Santa Anita. Obviously, Bob Baffert knows how to win this race. So I'm with you. But have you heard about a horse? Have you seen a horse named AP Indian, Matt?
I have, Brian, and I love that horse. I saw the horse at Saratoga. I saw the last race that the horse ran. How can you not love AP Indian? But you know what, Brian? I think that last race is going to take a little something out of that horse. I thought he just had to battle so hard to get the win. And God, you got to respect that victory. It was tremendous. When you throw that along with the fact that that's his 6th race this year, and he might come back strong again, but it's going to be tough after that effort at Keeneland to go out to Santa Anita and run on the home field of Lord Nelson, and not only Lord Nelson, but a couple of others also.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you for the most part, Matt. The Keeneland race was brave. He had every reason to lose the race. Then it looked like he had the race pretty much shown up at the 16th pole after overcoming some trouble. But Limousine Liberal, who's a track record holder at Keeneland, came right back at him, and it was a great finish, much like the Champagne. But the best horse won, and that's AP Indian. He is now a track record holder at Keeneland. And I think sprinters traveling often will do a little better. Sometimes they do struggle going from one different surface to another cross country, but often the best sprinters will take their game to other tracks. I think the track plays a little bit less of a part when we're going 6 furlongs. AP Indian is so good here. He's hard to discount. I think a few others on our list, Matt, are hard to discount too. Masochistic, I mean, just on sheer talent and the way he's winning his races. You have him 3, I have him 4. He's a danger. I worry about him when the real pedal goes to the metal and the real pressure comes up, whether he'll hold up. But on talent alone, look out for him. And who knows about Dre Fong? I mean, Dre Fong has just been getting better and better. And you saw him at Saratoga, man.
Yep. And it's Baffert and the race he ran at Saratoga. He basically ran off the screen in the King's Bishop. Again, you can't discount that horse, who is a very, very talented 3-year-old.
Yeah, and Dre Fong coming out of a 7 furlong race that probably bodes well for him back at his home track of Santa Anita and cutting back to 6 furlongs, because I think that would give him a little bit more impetus to be strong in the stretch. So I have Dre Fong actually number 3. Neither of us gave a ton of respect to Joking, who's been racking up stakes wins in New York, got a little freshening. Mr. Baker brought him back after a few months off to win the Vosburg. It was kind of a strange Vosburg with the scratch, with the slop. XY Jet, I don't think, ran his best race. Is Joking a threat in the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, and continuing with your Joking, and a perfect setup for a horse that rallies from a good distance behind. Love the training job that Charlton Baker has done with that horse, but I don't know. I feel like he's just a little notch below some of the ones that we talked about.
I'm with you there, Matt. I had to throw Limousine Liberal on my list after a huge performance at Keeneland, but for me, I think the top 4 are the most interesting. But I, like you, I have no question as far as who's my number 1, and that's Lord Nelson. Baffert in the sprint, always tough. Remember 30 Slews back in the day, Matt? Baffert didn't have a lot of wins back when 30 Slews won the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, and for the years, Baffert has done so well. Midnight Loot, my goodness.
Secret Circle.
Yeah. Secret Circle in the sprint. Like I said, I love Lord Nelson in this race.
Well, maybe Baffert's due to lose. All right, folks. So we agree on Lord Nelson as the horse to beat in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. We both agreed on Stellar Wind, and she will not be the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, an epic Breeders' Cup Distaff shaking up. We both kind of gave her a slight nod over Songbird and then Beholder in the Distaff. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Matt and I say, which is a little bit unusual, Kentucky is better than California this year. Matt had Classic Empire over Not This Time. I had Not This Time over Classic Empire. 25 days to the Breeders' Cup, Matt. I'll see you in about 3 weeks out in California.
I'm getting excited with each day that goes by, Brian.
Excellent. As I'm sure our fans are watching HorseCenter. Again, thank you for watching every week, folks. Thank you to our producer, Brett the Hitman Workman. Matt, another good show. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Brett.
Folks, we'll see you next week. Have a great week.